Hi, this is Dave, Bell Running Guide. Welcome to this week's navigation task. This week we've got a photograph of a trig point, and then we've got 3 map extracts, and I want you to work out which extract matches the photo, and also can we work out what direction we are facing. So where was the photo taken from and what direction are we looking in? The map extracts are Black Hill trig, Greynag trig and Thackmore trig, and these are all Ordnance Survey 1 to 25,000 map extracts. On these maps, the black lines are boundaries, they are walls or fences. There's no different symbol for a wall or a fence, so we can't tell by looking at these whether it's a wall or a fence. We just know it's a man-made physical boundary. Okay, let's go back to that photo and have a closer look. We've not got a great deal of detail to go on here. We just know that we've got a dry stone wall coming in from the right, and then that extends away into the distance and starts to drop downhill, and then coming out from that at an angle is this fence line. Other than that, very little info. So could we be looking at that first map extract? Well, if we are looking at it, we'd have to be looking at it so that we can see a fence line coming out at an angle and a dry stone wall dropping into the distance. So the only place we could be would be here to the northeast, looking onto the trig, with this being the fence and this being the wall dropping into the distance, and this being the dry stone wall that we can see on the right. We couldn't be looking at it from any other angle because it wouldn't fit with what we see in terms of those angles of walls and fences. What about the second map? Well, Greynag, again, similar angles here. We'd have to be looking from here onto that so that we've got wall and fence. But if this was Greynag, or the photo was Greynag, we'd expect to see an extension of the boundary here just beyond the fence and the wall, and the photo didn't show that at all. We can go back and just have a double check. So nothing sticking out here, no little extension of the wall or the fence there. That doesn't show at all. So we're not looking at map extract number 2. What about the third one, Thackmore? Could we be looking at that? Well, again, for the angles to work, we'd have to be looking at a dry stone wall on the right, extending off into the distance and downhill, and a fence line coming out to the left. So that fits. What about this? On this map, we've got a path here coming in and into the trig point, and we've got a path there on the northeast side of that boundary. Well, from the photo we wouldn't be able to see what's on the other side of the wall, but would we expect to see this path coming in? Well, paths are just man-made erosion features, really. So if people were coming up to this trig point and then not following that curve line round, maybe coming uphill and seeing it and just walking directly to it, then we'd have equal erosion on the ground rather than just one path. So that would maybe explain why we can't see a path. So there's no evidence of a path coming in here, but it doesn't mean to say that we're not at that Thackmore. What about the angles of the ground dropping away in the distance there? Can we look at the first and the third map and see if there's any difference? Well, these are 10-meter contour intervals, so the ground from the trig to there would be dropping away 4 meters, and then 10 meters dropping down to there. On the Thackmore map, if this was the wall dropping away, then from the 610 height we've got that distance before the ground drops away 10 meters. I don't think we can look at those and look at the photo and say that one is definitely the map based on these contour lines. I don't think there's enough detail on there, and we can't see how much the ground drops away to our left. So I think it's very difficult to say from the shape of the ground whether which one we're looking at. What about the angle that the walls make? So if we look at this map, then the wall comes in and goes away ever so slightly off to the right. The angle between the wall in the distance and the fence, that makes an angle of more or less 90 degrees. And then the angle in front of the trig between the dry stone wall and the fence, that's more than 90 degrees there, that one. Let's compare it with the first map. So if we were looking at Black Hill Trig from here, then again that wall comes in and then kinks off slightly to the right. This angle here in front of the trig is closer to 90 degrees than the Thackmore, and pretty much 90 degrees beyond the trig. Can we look at the photo and say whether that angle matches? Well, I think it's very difficult to say here whether this angle here in front of the trig matches the Thackmore or the Black Hill, and it's hard to really give a definite as what the angle is beyond fence and wall. So personally, I don't think it's possible to say whether we're looking at map extract A or the first map or the third map. We can rule the second map out because of that extra bit of wall that we'd expect to see, but I don't think we can tell between 1 and 3. Now you might think different, you might be able to see some subtle differences. If you can, then mention it in the comments. But the answer is this one, Thackmore. So the photo was taken from where the star is. The orange line off to the left is that fence line, and the red line in the going off into the distance is that wall dropping away to the northwest. So food for thought on this one. Hope you found it interesting. Thanks for watching. Look out for next week's navigation task. Bye for now.